This week's episode of the P&J F1 broadcast is brought to you by Nosebleeds, because they just seem to come out of nowhere. Hello, Internet Land. This is episode 19 of the P&J F1 Formula 1 chat. I'm your host, Phil Lamington, who manages to never get the name of this show right. And beside me is a man who single-handedly would redesign Coda just to get rid of that shitty knockoff of the corners from Silverstone. JB, how are you?
Send a steamroller over that track and start again. My goodness, what a shit show of a crap track. I'm good. I'm losing vital body fluid apparently, but now I'm okay.
Well, we both went and had the COVID jab over the various weeks. I had mine today, actually.
Well done. Yeah, I got mine like 4 or 5 days ago. So was the, as Nike says, just do it. I'm sick of these state border closures.
Yeah,
just do it.
There's that, and then you've got our beloved Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, who's just like, if you don't have it done by December 17, if you're not fully vaxxed by December 17, you might not be allowed to go into bars, restaurants, nightclubs, shopping centres, whatever. It's just like...
So if you want to have 400,000 spectators come through your gates, like what happened in Austin, get the jab.
Yeah.
It's easy. Anyway, onwards.
Anyway, that's our public service announcement there.
P&J's PSA.
No more PSAs.
That's it.
Make up your own mind. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Right. So, this was the round 18, was it?
Yes.
Round 18 from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
First time we've had it in 2 years.
Yes.
It was quite an eventful race. It wasn't like overtake heavy terribly, but it was a strategically dramatic race.
I think Crofty said it in commentary. He's like, well, God bless the two-stop races because they're more unpredictable than the one-stoppers.
Yeah.
And this turned out to be good strategy battle all the way through the field. I mean, most of the drivers went the medium hard option, but you had, Carlos Sainz, I think, started on softs.
Yeah.
And so did Yuki Tsunoda. And they both finished in the points, but a lot of the drivers opted for the mediums. High track temperatures, about 36 degrees. Lots of tyre deg. But unfortunately, as is the MO of a modern day Formula 1 car, dirty air around a tight-ish, track with a lot of slow corners doesn't often produce a whole lot of overtaking. But I just, from a strategic standpoint, I thought this race was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a very strategic, dramatic race.
And I think especially because the two main battles all race was Red Bull versus Mercedes and McLaren versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
It was the championship protagonists. It was pretty exhilarating to, knowing that now there's only 5 races left.
Yeah.
Every championship point from here on in is absolutely vital.
That's right. And also the other big battle was the lesser teams versus the black and white flags.
Yeah, the drivers, or, let the driver back through because you overtook them off the track.
Yeah, I think that's something about the track that really needs to be addressed, is that it's okay for Herman Tilke to sit there and design a track with a T-square, a set square, and a compass, but when your corners are just ridiculous, like there really are some ridiculous corners on this track.
Yeah, they really are, like, just nonsensical.
They're designed with a protractor.
Yeah. Like, no, this track is a rip-off of about 4 different tracks.
Yeah.
Put together, but in a really shit way.
Yeah.
It's like you've got the uphill into the sweeper, that's Istanbul Park.
Yeah.
But the turn 1's completely blind and shit, unlike Istanbul. Down into the Silverstone Maggots Chapel rip-off. but then there's like slower corners after it, which completely ruin the sector.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got big long back straight, that's fine, into a hairpin, that's typical Herman Tilke. Then you've got turn 16, 17, 18, the sweeper, which is Istanbul again, but in reverse. Instead of going left, it goes right.
Mm-hmm.
And then that twisty section in the middle is a rip-off of the Hockenheim Stadium section.
Yeah. And you've got that it's a right turn where it's like 3 different apexes.
Yeah.
That to me just feels like it's a knockoff, even though the original track it's based on only has two apexes. But feels like it's either from Malaysia or Denga 1 and Denga 2 from Suzuka,
Yeah.
or the Lesmos from Monza.
Yeah, it's not a good track. I hate this track personally. I despise driving this track in the game. But you get some alright racing out of it in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going to the actual event, if only just to go visit Texas.
Yeah.
But the track itself, yeah, I've never been a fan of its layout. But we got a pretty exhilarating race regardless.
Yeah.
It came down to literally the last lap between Verstappen and Hamilton. A lot of positions weren't decided until the final lap, especially between that group, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Bottas and Sainz, and Norris.
The top 8.
Yeah, pretty much the top 8 was not decided, besides Sergio Perez, who was just on a land of his own, and Charles Leclerc. Most of that top 8 just wasn't decided until the last lap. Even Sebastian Vettel, I think, got in the top 10 there on the last lap, or the penultimate lap. So despite all us bagging the track, and it is a shit track to drive, produced a pretty decent Grand Prix.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the results, this is the race classification after 56 laps. Max Verstappen for Red Bull Racing came first. Lewis Hamilton came second. I also believe he had the fastest lap of the race.
Did.
Third place was Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Though he had a bit of a nothing race, he came to the party.
Yeah, he came to the party where, he wasn't quite, I think, where Christian Horner wanted him, but he was close enough.
Yeah, he certainly played the team game with this race, so he earned his pay this week.
Mm-hmm.
In fourth place was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. What a great weekend he had.
I didn't realise how much pace the Ferrari actually had.
Well, apparently towards the end he was catching Perez.
Yeah. No, good on him.
You know, I would have thought that the Ferraris would have had nothing at this track.
Yeah, I really thought the McLarens would have outclassed them, but as we saw, both Ferraris finished ahead of both McLarens in another crucial championship battle.
In fifth place was Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren.
He had an awesome weekend.
He
on a
did.
Personal level, he had a great weekend.
Him and Charles Leclerc really turned up.
He did. Daniel Ricciardo loves America, loves Texas. And Zach Brown paid up on his bet. He let Daniel Ricciardo drive Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s 1984 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And he went and did some big doughies right before FP3 in the big old NASCAR. So, yeah, no, he had a great weekend, old Danny Rick.
In sixth place was Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. He had a bit of a shocker.
He did get a new internal combustion engine, but he didn't really use it to his advantage.
He got held behind Carlos Sainz for 8 laps towards the end. So, you know, if you're in the car that's got the top engine and you're being held up by a car which has got the third fastest engine, that's also got front wing damage, something's up there.
Well, I said it in our comparison last episode, what Mercedes' biggest weakness was, being stuck in traffic.
Well, yeah, I'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Bottas just didn't bring it this weekend.
I think that car had a lot of balance issues. I mean,
Particularly with the bouncy track.
yeah, I think Lewis actually struggled with it too, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
he couldn't catch Max. I mean, he tried to, but once he got to within a certain range,
Yeah.
just fell back.
In 7th place was Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. He had a rather eventful race.
He did. He was in the wars a fair bit. But
Um,
I think he enjoyed himself.
Yeah, like Fox Motorsports, the mecca of clickbait articles.
For all your journalistic excellence.
Yeah. God. You
And-
can get your information from Fox Motorsports, or you can get your information in the P&J F1 chat.
We don't have smashed avocados, though,
Yeah.
on toast. But they do.
But Sainz, Fox Motorsports tried to make out that Carlos Sainz was pissed off with Daniel Ricciardo on a move on him where he got pushed off the track or whatever. But Sainz also said, if you read the entire quote, there was a bit of a dog thing to do. I'm paraphrasing here. It was a bit of a dog thing to do. But he would have done the exact same thing defending in the same position. So
Yeah, it was
here's no-
hilarious. I like scroll past the Fox Sports article, and then like Sky Sports or Autosport had the actual quote underneath it. And it's like, it was a bit dirty, but if it was me on the inside, I would have done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's angry at Danny Rick at all, to be honest.
So that's why we're not even going to break down that maneuver.
No.
Because it's like, it is what it is. And, I thought that Ricciardo lost the tail end of his car.
It was no different to a few other collisions we saw today.
Yeah, that's right. In 8th place was Lando Norris in the other McLaren.
He was a bit lost at sea this weekend.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get it going.
Yeah.
He was very, he was flat in the post-race
he-
press conference.
He was in it at the start.
Yeah, I think that's what because the three-way battle down the back straight on lap 1. Imagine if he'd slung past Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. I mean, Charles Leclerc's the reason he didn't get past them because he was driving into a wedge, essentially.
Yeah.
But it would have been a hell of a move if he could pull it off. I mean, he actually did have the momentum to get around both of them, but he just drove into a wedge and ultimately fell behind them both, and that's where he stayed.
9th place was Yuki Tsunoda. He had a solid weekend.
He really did. He actually had a fairly impressive weekend, yeah.
10th was Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin. He was lost at sea all weekend.
I was impressed that he was able to get in the points.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't think he had that bad of a drive. I think he showed a lot of guile to get back up into the points. I mean, he had battles all day, and
was he throwing sonic booms at them?
he might have been.
Because that's what Guile does.
I wish I understood your references sometimes.
It's a Street Fighter 2 reference.
Nice. Anyone old enough to get that reference?
Oh, come on. It's the most iconic game of all time besides Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat is better. There we go.
Better out than in.
In 11th place was Antonio Giovinazzi.
He was in the wars all day.
He was in the wars, but to be honest, I don't think he's done enough now to save that seat.
He really hasn't. Considering the fact Kimi Räikkönen would have finished ahead of him, but for a last lap spin.
Yeah. 12th was Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. He had a spin on the first corner when he was tagged by Nicholas Latifi.
Yes.
But I mean, Latifi was boxed. There was nowhere for him to go. So,
Yep.
but he had a pretty meh day at the office as well, old Lance.
I mean, he pretty much came from the back to 12. I mean, I think the Aston Martin maybe had more pace than we realised, but both those cars were in the wars, so maybe they're a little bit hindered.
Yeah. In 13th was Kimi Räikkönen. Again, he had an eventful day at the office, but I mean, he was lucky to get 13th.
He was on for points and then lost it all on his own.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to be quite disappointed.
14th was George Russell in the Williams.
He had a nothing race.
Yeah, he had a nothing race. 15 was Nicholas Latifi in the Williams.
After taking out Stroll, yeah.
Yeah. 16 was Mick Schumacher in the Haas. It was a Haas.
He was involved in the final lap scuffle between Lewis and Max Verstappen.
Yeah, he was.
He probably inadvertently gave Max Verstappen the win.
Yeah.
By giving him DRS into the front straight on the final lap.
But at the point that Verstappen had reached Schumacher, there was really hardly anywhere for Schumacher to get out of the way to let him through anyway because of the nature of the circuit.
Yep.
So, what does he do,
Yeah, he, that's the whole problem with Sector 1. This is the whole problem of a lot of the track, for as wide as it is fairly single file.
Because of the corner profiles.
Because of the corner profiles and because of the dirty air of just the nature of these cars.
Yeah.
Which is what they're trying to solve with next year's car, so we'll see how it goes.
In 17th was Nikita Mazepin, who it took him, I think, 2 laps to catch up and overtake a retired Alonso.
Yeah, after he got his black and white flag for not getting out of the way or corner cutting or something.
Yeah, he got a black and white flag for not getting out of the way of... he had too many black flags.
Oh, I think he was blue flags.
Blue flags, sorry.
Yeah.
Same with Kimi Räikkönen.
Which is weird for someone with that much experience to
Yeah.
But I think Kimi's was actually track limits.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
I know Lance Stroll's was for track limits.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would. Sorry, struggling.
So then Alonso, he retired from the race with...
let me scroll down. He had a broken rear wing.
Yep. Ocon had a broken suspension.
Yeah, like the tracks, the bumpiness, and MotoGP boys want this sorted out before they come back.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Because the bumps on this track are ridiculous. There was actually a crack on Max Verstappen's rear wing in one of the practice sessions. They actually had to change the rear wings of both Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Because Max has wound up with a crack, which is how bumpy this track was.
And Gasly had a broken rear suspension as well.
Yeah, so it seems oddly, what's the word I'm looking for?
Convenient?
Yeah, that's the one. That all 3 of the retirements were all like suspension related or crack related, which I think the circuit organisers should probably bring in the steamrollers before their next visit.
Yeah.
Because if these cars struggled, who knows what next year's car is going to react like, and who knows what, any motorsport really would probably struggle on those bumps, even NASCAR.
Yeah.
So, and that's just all the soil wearing away under the circuit, which is what happens with every racetrack in the world. So, it's bad enough that the first sector's a dog box rip-off of Silverstone with a bunch of tight corners, but you add in bumps that are literally breaking cars. It's probably time for a change.
And Sector 1 does have a lot of bumps in it, particularly in the Silverstone knockoff section. There are a lot of bumps in there.
Yeah, very big ones too. Like we saw cars bottoming out. We saw front wings scraping.
Yeah.
So it's quite a nasty section of track, to be honest, and they'll do well to repair it ASAP. Anywho,
and here is JB with the race report.
This is what happened in the race for those of you that weren't up at 5 a.m. this morning. And neither were we, to be honest. we literally just watched the replay. Lap 1. Championship protagonists Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen start on the front row. Lewis gets the jump and leads Max through turn 1, pushing him wide. Carlos Sainz fights with both McLarens, Lando nearly touching Leclerc into the hairpin, while Denny Rick gets past Carlos Sainz around the outside of turn 16 and 17. Lando touching Leclerc was obviously driving into a wedge into the hairpin. I would have loved to have seen him pull that move off, but alas, he didn't. Meanwhile, Nicholas Latifi hits Lance Stroll going up into turn 1. Lap 4, Esteban Ocon pits for hard tyres after being clipped by Antonio Giovinazzi on the opening lap. Lap 6, Nicholas Latifi gets a front wing change after his opening lap contact, but pushes Esteban Ocon wide at turn 1, leaving the pits, which was a bit of gamesmanship, possibly. Lap 8, Fernando Alonso pits in an attempt to cover off Sebastian Vettel. I think ultimately that failed, or his car failed. Lap 11, Max Verstappen dives into the pit lane to undercut Lewis Hamilton, despite insisting Lewis was sliding more, and I think at the time Lewis was sliding more, but Red Bull had a plan to try and force Lewis's hand early, and I think ultimately it might have even won him the race. Lap 13, Sergio Perez pits, Red Bull trying to double undercut Lewis. The following lap, lap 14, Lewis Hamilton pits, with Max Verstappen jumping him, the undercut proving successful. Lap 15, Pierre Gasly retires from the race after breaking his rear suspension, the first sign of how bad the bumps were. Lap 16, Valtteri Bottas pits for fresh tyres, but is buried in traffic again, trying to make use of his new internal combustion engine. Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen having a coming together at the start of the lap, but I think ultimately that was resolved with no further action, I believe.
Which one was that?
Raikkonen and Alonso. I think they just bumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, because later on, lap 24, Fernando Alonso was forced to give his position back after overtaking Antonio Giovinazzi off the track. But then, in reply, Antonio Giovinazzi is forced to give Alonso the place back after being off the track a lap later. So there was a lot of swapping off the track. Track limits at COTA have always been a little bit questionable,
Yeah, I think it's...
as we've seen in IndyCar.
oh, yeah, but it always comes back to the corner profiles.
Yeah, it's a wide track, but, you know, there's so much room for error, I guess.
Yeah.
Lap 28, the virtual safety car was deployed momentarily as a marshal clears a piece of debris off the track, but it was too short to change anything. Lap 30, Max Verstappen pits for another set of hard tyres. I think this was ultimately the move that won him the race. Lewis Hamilton told to go long, 6 laps over target. Carlos Sainz has a slow stop. Daniel Ricciardo told to come in to try and cover him off. And Lando Norris follows him in as well on the double stack but loses out, but Daniel Ricciardo didn't. Lap 37, Lewis Hamilton pits for his second set of hards and begins to chase. 8.7 seconds was the gap. Lap 42, Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo resume hostilities. Esteban Ocon is forced to retire. Lap 43, Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo touch. The tail seem to step out on the McLaren, which is the one that Fox Motorsport was trying to blow up into a Drive to Survive clickbait article. Lap 49, Kimi Raikkonen given a black and white bad sportsmanship flag for track limits, with Lance Stroll and Nikita Mazepin giving one earlier for not allowing Verstappen through quick enough. Lap 51, Fernando Alonso retires with a broken rear wing, both Alpine drivers out of the race. Lap 53, Kimi Raikkonen spins out of the points, promoting Vettel to 10th. Hamilton closes in on Max Verstappen, while Valtteri Bottas closes in on Carlos Sainz. Lap 55, Mick Schumacher gets in the way of Max Verstappen, giving Lewis Hamilton a final chance, but Schumacher inadvertently gives Max DRS down the front straight, giving way to lap 56, the final lap. Max Verstappen holds off Lewis Hamilton in an engrossing finish, extending his World Championship lead to 12 points, as his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez comes home third. Lewis Hamilton gets the fastest lap, with Max Verstappen voted driver of the day. Yee-haw, y'all.
So, yeah, I think the difference for this race for me today between Max and Lewis, in the early stint when Lewis was in front, though Max couldn't fully catch up to him and overtake him, Max could stay in contact with Lewis.
Yeah.
He could sort of stay in the dirty air, and it didn't affect him too much.
Yeah.
But when Lewis was in the dirty air, As soon as he got into the dirty air zone, that Mercedes went to shit.
And that is testament to Red Bull's superior aerodynamics.
Yeah, that's Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Sector 1 was probably the difference.
Yeah.
You know, Max was able to stay with Lewis in the opening stint, but Lewis, even closing, wasn't able to close much more than a second. I think that's testament to Red Bull's superior aero, getting it done.
And I think it also showed that Sergio Perez came to the party, whereas Bottas was kind of a non-event.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we pointed out. You know, if Red Bull wanted to help Max and also help him in the constructors, that Sergio would have to come to the party at some point. And I think he can thank his qualifying pace for being able to come to the party.
Yeah.
You know, we said that Sergio would have to get it together on Saturday to help Max, to help Red Bull. And he did. He did this weekend, and he was right there where he needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we've gone over the race. We've gone over that.
Yes.
It's now time for the pit lane pit lane questions.
Heck yeah.
The first one is they've unveiled next year's calendar, the 2022 calendar.
Ah, that's what you put up. I was confused. I'm like, Singapore. Why is Singapore on there?
You'll list 23 races.
Yes.
With 1, 2. Sorry, everyone. I'm just counting out loud. 4 tracks on the calendar, subject to contract negotiations, and 2 tracks. 2 tracks or 1 track? 1 track.
Subject to homologation.
Yeah.
Which
FIA circuit homologation,
mm-hmm.
which is FIA circuit approval for safety in pit lane.
That's
and all
Miami, but should also probably double as Austin if they're going to flatten those bumps out.
Well, so next year's calendar is going to start late March, 18th of 20th of March at Bahrain.
Yeah, they bumped Australia off the traditional starting spot.
And then the second race a week later is Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah circuit, which is debuting for the first time this year.
Yep.
And then we've got Australia, which is the week before Easter. Then the 4th race of the season sees Imola back again.
Nice.
I'm happy to see Imola back.
Yeah, I'm good to see Imola as a permanent circuit.
For me, Imola will always have a special place in F1. I know it's for kind of bad reasons, because that's where Ayet and Senna died.
Mm-hmm.
But by dropping that race from the calendar, for me, it feels like they're not honouring his legacy.
Yeah, I mean, his statue's literally down at turn 1. Like his big statue of him, like, praying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy that track's on the calendar. And keep in mind, that version of the track and this version of the track, 2 completely different things.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not even in a disrespectful way. Like, they completely redesigned the opening of the track to make it safer.
Yeah.
Because of him.
Yeah.
Which I think is an honourable thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The 5th race in the 6th to the 8th of May is Miami.
Yes, the new street track around the Hard Rock Cafe Stadium, home of the Dolphins.
Not keen on that one.
Give it a chance.
Let's see how it goes.
Give it a chance.
The 6th race is Spain.
Speaking of not keen.
Yeah.
Such a boring track.
Yeah, it is.
Such a boring track.
And the fact that there's no Portimao.
Yeah, there's no Portimao. I love Portimao. I've only just got used to that track on the game.
Yeah.
And now it's just like gone. And there's no Istanbul Park.
Yeah.
So you just dropped like 2 awesome races.
And then the next 2 races are the procedural ones of Monaco and Azerbaijan.
Baku can throw up a good race.
Yeah.
If tyres exploding and teammates crashing into each other are involved.
Yeah, but Monaco is procedural.
Yeah, Monaco's just the procedural driver parade around the
I think
harbour.
the thing about Monaco is I think the F1 cars have outgrown it.
They outgrew it 30 years ago.
If they outgrew it when
They
started
outgrew it.
racing
Like Ayrton Senna was doing it one-handed, and that was probably the last time it was like relevant.
Yeah,
Ayrton
True.
Senna made that race relevant, and as soon as he passed, that race was no longer relevant.
So the 7th race is Monaco. The 8th race is Azerbaijan. The 9th race is Canada.
Going
I
back to
like Canada.
Yes, I do like this track.
It's nice to see Canada come back.
Yeah.
The 10th race is United Kingdom. Silverstone.
Yep.
I don't like Silverstone.
It's the home of Formula One.
I know.
It's
but
the birthplace of Formula One. You can't deny 60 years of history just because you don't like the track.
True. Yeah, all right. I'll give you that one. The 11th race, one of my favourites,
Red Bull Ring.
Austria.
Yes.
The 12th race is the super long straights with the super weird corners with the super weird painty shit outside the track. It is Paul Ricard in France.
I like that track.
I like it even more.
I like driving it, but I don't like the stripy paint.
I like beating you at it
Yeah.
in my underpowered Ferrari. The 13th race is Hungary, Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have their break, and the 14th race is one scary but fun track, Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium.
Best track on the calendar.
15th race of the calendar is the Netherlands, Zandvoort,
Back home to Max country. That's right.
Yep. The home of Max Verstappen, smoking weed in shops and letting off orange fucking smoke grenades.
And Tomorrowland.
That too.
They know how to party.
Fair enough. 16, the Cathedral of Speed, Monza.
Yes.
I like that track.
Everyone does.
17, Sochi.
For the last time.
For the last time.
For the last time before they go to the St. Petersburg street circuit.
And this year, Sochi actually threw up a really good race. So,
For 52 of the 53 laps, yes, it did.
yeah,
It was actually a very good
finally
race.
came good. It finally came good.
I mean,
And
from a neutral perspective, it was brilliant. From a McLaren perspective, I don't want to talk about it.
it was great. 18 is Singapore. Again, it's another procedural track.
It's not, though.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
Singapore's
The
had some good
final
races.
sector is procedural.
The final sector is procedural, but the big straight, the Raffles Boulevard down on the hairpins, it's a good track.
You
I mean,
only like it because you've been there.
twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The 19th race is Suzuka in Japan.
I saw like an onboard lap of Ayrton Senna doing this track like back in '88. They haven't. This might be the only track on the calendar that has never changed its layout.
Yeah.
Like Suzuka just has not changed its layout at all. I think every track on this calendar, in one way or another, has changed its layout in the last 30 years.
Well, Melbourne's getting the change.
It's not going to make it a better track just because they're taking the hairpin out
Oh, and
and
they're
widening turn 13.
yeah.
You know, for our home race, it's just an underwhelming track.
Yeah,
It really is.
fair enough. But we'll get to the other track that's being modified as well for this year's season. So the next race is the 20th race is Austin, the one we just watched, but next year's one.
Yeah, hopefully with a flatter.
Well, I mean, what can I
section.
say? Like, money talks and bullshit walks, you know.
They'll have to flatten it because if they want MotoGP back, they have to flatten it. Speaking of MotoGP, shout out to Fabio Quartararo, France's first ever MotoGP world champion, crowned last night.
Yeah, congratulations.
Good on him.
The 21st race is Mexico City.
I love that track.
It's a great track.
Good track.
It's got that old school vibe to it, but it's also got a couple of the Herman Till tweaks to it.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah,
Unlike a few of his other fucking disaster pieces.
yeah.
Mm.
And that's always the track that the Mercedes seems to struggle on because of the thin air.
Thin air, yeah. They don't get their cooling right. I think, well, we're going there next, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the next race.
It's the next race, and I think Max Verstappen's got a good chance of extending his championship lead even
Yeah.
more.
The next race is Brazil, Sao Paulo.
Is that for the last time? Because they were doing weren't they going to Rio? They were doing a street track.
Yeah,
There was rumours about it.
there was rumours around it, but I
Mm.
think they might be sticking at Sao Paulo.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah. And then 23rd race, final race is Abu Dhabi, which has been modified for this year. I don't like that track. And to be honest, I think that
For a championship deciding racetrack, it's not that great.
no, I think the championship deciding race should be Brazil. Every
Yeah,
every
we've
good
s-
championship
yeah,
has
every-
finished at Brazil.
Every dramatic final race, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen, Jenson Button.
No, that's Fernando Alonso.
No, Raikkonen won the championship by a point. in
Yeah,
07.
from Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. And then,
And then the next year-
Felipe Massa won,
Yeah.
and then Hamilton, and then Jenson Button won in 09. There's 3 consecutive years of, epic championship deciding races.
Yeah.
In the rain, most of them.
Yeah.
At Sao Paulo.
And
But money talks, which is why we're getting Losail Circuit and Qatar for the next 10 years as well.
yeah.
The dirty Arab oil money.
Yeah, it's right. Ask WWE. I've got to put that shot in there.
Asked WWE, asked Manchester City.
Yeah, true. I just think the season should open in Melbourne and finish in Brazil. Or,
It's not up to us.
yeah, it's right.
It starts in Bahrain and it ends in Abu Dhabi because that's where the oil is.
That's where the money is.
Yep.
What do you think of that calendar, though?
I like it.
Yeah?
I like it. I mean, I wish Istanbul Park was there.
It would
And
serve...
I wish Portimao was there.
Yeah?
I think we could fuck off Monaco. I know Monaco's never going to go
No.
because it's the crown jewel. Speaking of money and rich people, I'd love to see Istanbul Park and Portimao there, but overall, not a bad track.
See,
not a bad.
if you asked me if I could drop one race to put, say, Istanbul Park back on, Miami would go.
Nah, they're trying real hard to win over the American fans. If I honestly wanted to drop 2 tracks off the calendar, it's Barcelona and probably Sochi. But Spain needs an event because there's Spanish drivers there, and they're going to St. Petersburg anyway. So they need to keep as many fingers in as many pies as possible in terms of fan market and being a truly international sport. So yeah, but overall, if COVID permitting, we get the full 23 races in the full 22 locations or thereabouts. 21 locations. There's 2 American tracks and 2 Italian. It'd be very good. I'm just more keen to see how the cars go next year.
Yeah, it'll be certainly something to see.
Yeah.
So then we get to question number 2. Sydney is trying to buy the contract for hosting an F1 race from Melbourne.
Not just an F1 race, the Australian Grand Prix in its entirety.
And the photo I've got up here from our friends at Fox Motorsports in their clickbait articles is trying to propose a street circuit. My initial thought of seeing a street circuit is why, when they've got a few circuits in New South Wales, like Newcastle. Wasn't the Newcastle one built to be F1 spec?
No, the one in South Australia was the Bend,
Okay.
but it's a shithole of a track.
Just go back to Adelaide.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the picture of this. This looks like a V8 supercar track.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to run V8 supercars, that's your track.
Like-
Nothing about that track excites me from her.
Actually, you know what that looks like? The Gold Coast IndyCar track.
Yeah, nothing about that track excites me as a Formula One fan.
No, that just looks like Azerbaijan. But no. You know what that looks like? The Vietnam track,
Yeah,
but without the giant penis.
yeah, nothing about that track even remotely excites me.
No, that just
It
looks.
looks like a V8 supercar track. Like, you want to promote big, heavy stock car overtaking? Yeah, okay. Like, what does that track offer in terms of Formula One overtaking?
You know what? That doesn't offer anything in terms of driving, overtaking, fun, or anything. You know what that looks like it offers to me? Seeing that the top part goes along the wharf, the wharf.
Photo opportunities. Is that
Photo opportunities and chances for people to be seen with the fucking housewives of Sydney.
Fuck. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
That just screams, we can tie that in with the stupid housewives of Sydney or New South Wales or whatever.
Just send them down
bullshit
the Parramatta
show.
motorway.
Just fuck off. No one knows who you are. No one cares what you are.
Just send them down, send them around that track, but in peak hour. They have to dodge buses and menu log cyclists.
Menu log cyclists.
The first one to make it around the harbour 58 times without killing a cyclist wins.
I can imagine Gunther Steiner just sitting there going, fucking fake.
Sending the horses out with big fucking bull catchers like the front of the old steam trains.
Yeah, but they got to pull up at KFC to get the menu log pickup.
First one to deliver the menu log from that side of the harbour to that side wins the Grand Prix.
See, there's how we can update Formula One. Give them objectives.
Give them mid-race objectives. Yeah, Lewis, this is James. We need you to go pick up the menu log order 6329 from the Chinese shop and get it to the other side of the harbour.
Yuki Tsunoda, you've got to go to Pizza Hut, pick up an order and deliver it. If it doesn't make it there in 10 minutes, we don't get paid.
30 minutes or less or your pizza's free. And school's just been let out. There's school kids everywhere. And girls with tiny dogs in handbags.
Yeah.
And meth dealers because it's Sydney. Bikies and shit.
And Commonwealth cops harassing YouTubers.
Yeah. No, that does nothing to excite me, and nor should it.
It actually looks like a limp penis, that track.
It looks like a V8 supercar track. If you want V8 supercars, would drive that track all day. But that's nothing from a Formula One standpoint.
And it looks like a V8 supercars track, and a lot of V8 supercars tracks really do look unimaginative.
Because they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got the turning circle of
A bus.
a bus.
Yeah.
So I can understand the V8 supercars not being able to turn on a dime.
Yeah.
So they need sort of, I don't know, softer tracks. Not dissing Bathurst. I mean, shit. If you're gonna move Formula One to pardon me. If you're gonna move Formula One to New South Wales, at least put Bathurst in the conversation.
Yeah, no, they can't.
If you're gonna have a procedural street circuit, Bathurst is your procedural street circuit.
Only because they'll, if we thought the bumps were bad at COTA, imagine the air they'd get. Imagine if, the wind got under the front wings going, down Conrod or something. You'd have the Mark Webber crash from Le Mans.
True.
Or the Mark Webber crash from, Valencia.
We were talking about Miami, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, because we're talking about Bathurst and how it's got the dipper.
Yep.
Why are they going to Miami when they could go to Laguna Seca?
For the same reason. The dip is too steep, and the corkscrew at Laguna Seca is too steep. There's literal regulations. There's a YouTube video on it. I actually watched it.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of regulations. The chase is the sand trap at the chase isn't good enough.
They'll just have to brake earlier.
Well, no. Because that'll be a DRS straight.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll just fly off the track at 350 kilometres an hour and spear through the sand trap and come out the other side at substantially the same speed, maybe.
But the overtaking will be amazing.
So will the T-boning. And
So will the
could you
budget.
imagine Nikita Mazepin getting that braking zone wrong
He'd
and
have
just-
to make it to that point in the track.
and just spearing Lewis Hamilton at like 250 k's
Yeah,
an hour?
but you're assuming he's going to make it to that point in the track. He's not going to make it to that point in the track. He'll crash at Forest Elbow. He'll crash.
He won't
like-
make it that far. He'll crash in the S's.
Oh, he'll crash going up.
Mountain Straight.
Yeah, he'll crash at the end of that.
So exciting.
No,
So exciting. I mean, we've seen a Formula One car around Bathurst. Jenson Button did it. And it was pretty awesome to watch. But I don't think you could ever have a race there, unfortunately.
I think the car would have had to been modified to sustain being on that track.
Is there
and-
a genuine track? I keep thinking maybe Sandown. But is there like a genuine track you could, besides Melbourne, besides bringing back... And that's the problem. The Adelaide Street Circuit isn't even coming back for the Clipsal 500. Like, Adelaide don't even want the supercars back. So why would they want...
Do they not want people to come into Adelaide?
No one goes to Adelaide anyway. It was like their one chance of, like, attracting people to Adelaide
Well,
that's not AFL related.
What about Townsville? I
That's,
know it's a street circuit, but
yeah, I don't know. Like, is there a legitimate track in Australia? And people, you can comment on this, because I'm out of ideas, but is there a legitimate track in Australia that Formula One could go to that would produce good enough racing?
this is pushing my memory back a little bit. I'm going off the old V8 Supercars 3 game. But there was one track where at some point you actually cross over like a figure eight, like in Suzuka.
That's Oran Park, which no longer exists. It's now a housing estate.
What fucking idiot did that? Was that Anastasia Palaszczuk?
No, she's a Queenslander, and Oran Park was in New South Wales, West Sydney,
Gladys Berejiklian.
something like that.
Fucking idiot. Bye-bye, Gladys.
I mean, you got Eastern Creek, but yeah, it's not even fun to watch Formula Fords go around there. Simmons Plains, I mean, the fact that V8 Supercars could do that track in like 70 seconds means a Formula One car could do it in like 20. Would you see the Formula One cars go back around the old Gold Coast Indy circuit? Do you think
No.
that layout could
Too
work?
wide. Too wide.
Too wide or not wide enough?
Oh, I mean, the cars are too wide.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
You know what they could do? Here in Macaulay. Street circuit here in Macaulay.
Fucking imagine the carbon fibre coming off them when they hit a pothole.
Yeah, but we might actually get the potholes fixed.
They can't even do one road project at a time, let alone fix the potholes.
Just use a Caneland car park.
Just like Tokyo Drift.
There's plenty of overtaking opportunities on the car parks.
Yeah, we have to have a race on a Thursday night. Dodge the mums in their Prados.
Oh, the bane of my existence.
Oh, God.
Prado owners and dipshits with their mum's fucking Ford Laser. Or whatever mums lend their kids nowadays with their P plates.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Commodores mostly.
With the neon kits underneath that their mum doesn't know about.
Fucking hell.
And their warped up stereo. But their mum's pissed because she can't put her fucking shopping in it. Why'd you take all the space up? I can't put my damn shopping in there. Mum, it's a fucking subwoofer. I can't drive my car in a fucking shitbox with a shitty stereo. I can hear 4CRM perfectly fine. Yeah, but I can't listen to fucking...
Got to get the new header in it so you can have Bluetooth connectivity though, so you can play Spotify, or just run it through the aux cord.
So you play WAP by Cardi B
Oh.
over and over and over again.
Fantastic.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Right. So
next,
here we go. Now we're going into the driver standings.
back to actual
Back-
Formula
yeah.
One.
Getting away from Prado owners.
We went down that rabbit hole real deep.
Yeah, well, your balls deep. All right, so the driver standings. Max Verstappen has extended his lead. He's on 287.5 points. Lewis Hamilton is second place on 275.5 points. Valtteri Bottas is in third with 185 points. Sergio Perez has passed Lando Norris and gone up to fourth on 150 points.
Mm-hmm.
Lando Norris is in fifth with 149 points. Charles Leclerc has overtaken Carlos Sainz on 128 points. Carlos Sainz is in seventh?
Yes.
Seventh, yeah. On 122.5. Daniel Ricciardo is in eighth on 105. Pierre Gasly is in ninth with 74. And Fernando Alonso is in 10th with 58. And the team standings, as I just clear my throat and do it again. Mercedes is leading the Constructors' Championship on 460.5 points. Red Bull is in second with 437.5, which means they are 23 points behind.
Yes.
McLaren is in third on 254 points. Ferrari is in fourth on 250.5, so they're only
4.5 points behind. No, 3.5.
3.5 points.
That's crazy. Like that. I still think Mercedes is going to win the Constructors, but McLaren and Ferrari is going to go down to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Like, I think McLaren and Ferrari's fight and Lewis and Max's title fight will be decided in the last race of the season.
I think the fight between Alpine and AlphaTauri is going to go down to the wire as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Alpine had both cars not finish this race, and AlphaTauri only had one car finish this race.
Yeah. Alpine is on 104 points in fifth. AlphaTauri is in sixth with 94 points. Aston Martin is in seventh on 62. They're in no man's land.
Languishing.
Williams is in eighth with 23 points. Alfa Romeo is in ninth with 7 points. And Haas is bringing up the rear with Zut. Williams has certainly won the tail gunner.
Yeah, considering all three of those teams were on 0 points for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then, George Russell got that podium in Spa. And then Latifi got that good finish in where the hell it was. Can't remember. But he got
Turkey.
that. Was it Turkey? Yeah, it was somewhere.
Turkey.
Yeah, he got that good push finish. But yeah, now I'm keen to see the McLaren Ferrari fight. That's going to go down to the last lap of the last race.
I'm starting to think that, and it all depends on the tail gunners. I'm starting to think Red Bull can possibly take the Constructors.
They need Sergio. I mean, it's his home race. It's his home race next. So if he needs any extra motivation to go out there and get on the podium again, he's got to do it in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I keep forgetting that two drivers score points for the team standings here. Well, I thought Mercedes' gap was probably, their buffer was enough. But there's still 5 races to go. I guess you never really know.
And, there is that big cloud over the Mercedes team with their engine reliability.
With the power unit reliability, that's true.
And it'll be worse in Mexico.
Absolutely it will.
So it could swing on a dime. It could swing on a dime.
This whole championship could swing on a dime. This is the closest championship we've had.
In this turbo hybrid era.
Driver versus driver, team versus team.
Yeah.
This is the best we've had in over a decade, maybe more.
I mean, the closest it's been in the turbo hybrid era was, 2018? 2018? That was when... that
was Vettel
Vettel. And then by the time...
you could go back to Rosberg and Hamilton in 2016.
But I mean, into team.
Oh, into team, yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
But by the time it got to the mid-season break... Vettel was long gone. This is the first time in the turbo hybrid era. This is going down to the wire.
Yeah, it really is, and more than one team and more than one driver.
Yeah,
there are two absolute battles going on between Mercedes, Red Bull, and McLaren, Ferrari, in the same way there are two absolute battles or one absolute battle going on between Verstappen and Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, you literally, this is what we've wanted for so long, like, you literally can't miss a race. You literally cannot turn the TV off.
Yeah.
Remember, like, 5 years ago, we could watch Lewis go into turn one in the lead and turn the TV off and walk away.
Yeah.
And know that he won.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We
It's toss
saw
of a coin.
We saw it in MotoGP last night. You know, obviously, different sport with different aspects, but Pecco Bagnaia was about to take the championship fight into the final two races. And with 3 laps to go, he came off his Ducati and handed the championship to Fabio Quartararo. Like, that is the sporting moments you live for as a motorsport fan.
Yeah.
The unpredictability of what's going to happen next. And, and this is what the 2022 regs are for. Pushing for closer racing. We've got close racing now.
Yeah.
We've got an exhilarating title fight for constructors and drivers mixed in with people winning their first races. Esteban Ocon won his first race. Lando Norris should have won his first race. Daniel Ricciardo won in Monza.
Yeah.
Like, there is so much happening in this sport right now. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's... You know what we have to thank for this happening? COVID. We do have to actually thank COVID for happening, because we were supposed to get the new cars this year.
Yes.
But because of COVID happening, they had to run modified versions of last year's car.
And we got tracks that we never thought we'd get back.
Yeah.
We got Imola back. We got Istanbul back. We got Portimao. We got... I'm missing one.
Imola?
Yeah, Imola, Portimao.
Mugello.
Istanbul Park, Mugello. Yeah, we got Mugello last year.
We've got Qatar.
Yeah, we're going to Losail this year.
Yeah.
So... Well, and all these it's just another variable.
Yeah.
No one's got test data on... No one's even driven a Formula 1 car around Losail.
Yeah.
No one had driven a Formula 1 car around Mugello till last year. Or Portimao 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's just brought so many good things out.
Exactly, and it's genuinely exciting to watch Formula 1 again.
And it's broken up the monotony of what Formula 1 had become.
Yeah, you watch Formula 1 in like 20... I mean, even go back to Sebastian Vettel dominating with Red Bull. It was monotonous.
Yeah.
But now, this year especially, and fingers crossed into next year and beyond, it's back. It's back.
And then after next year with the new cars, we've got the power unit changes in 2026.
Exactly.
So there's more things that can change.
Exactly. There's more variables. There's more everything, and it keeps you watching. It hooks you, and it drags you in. And, there's people I know that have just become Formula 1 fans and are hooked by it because of the excitement. Because it's generating that level of excitement again. It's like Formula 1 in the late 90s, early 2000s was probably like peak Formula 1.
And it also has to do with the new younger drivers too. Because the new younger drivers, like Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Sainz, Leclerc,
Yep.
even George Russell, these guys drive like drivers from the 90s.
Exactly.
There's none of this, you have to leave a space. They don't care. They will stick the car in there.
Yep.
And that's what racing is.
That's it. You've got to be fearless. I mean, even at 300 kilometers an hour, you've got to be fearless, and we love that.
Yeah.
No quarter given. No quarter given. None taken.
And when you look at Formula 1, like you can compare it to IndyCar, but IndyCar is such a controlled formula.
Yeah, it is.
Dallara builds a chassis for everyone.
Yep.
They run a controlled turbo. Almost everything is controlled about it. And then most of the tracks are an oval.
Yeah.
So it's
limited to what you can do in the IndyCar.
The advantage of IndyCar is that you're beaten by team strategy and driver ability.
Yes, and that's sort of what next year's regulation is hinting to.
Yeah.
But unlike IndyCar, there's enough scope in a smaller scale. You're still going to see innovation.
Yeah.
You're still going to see Red Bull bringing out tricks, Mercedes bringing out tricks, McLaren, Ferrari bringing out tricks.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a broader scale like this year, you know, McLaren with its extended gearbox or Mercedes with its ride height system that they've just implemented. You know, but there still will be scope enough for change. And, you know, even on a smaller scale, a minuscule scale, they could be even more of a difference. Like someone that just figures out just the tiniest thing could have the biggest advantage next year.
And for me, Australian supercars has really lost its identity now.
Oh, yeah.
For me, because it's Mustangs and Chevy Camaros.
I mean, look, it was that back in the 60s as well, before Australia started, you know, building their own cars.
But I mean, as soon as Holden said we're shutting down, we're not around anymore, for me, that was the end of V8 supercars. I'll still watch Bathurst. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's what we do every year. We watch Bathurst.
Yeah.
But for me, it just feels like it's not Australian supercars anymore. It's just American supercars being driven by Australian and New Zealand drivers on Australian and New Zealand tracks.
That's it. Were you worried that Formula One was losing its identity? I think it's just driving innovation.
Yeah.
I think it's just driving a new chapter.
I mean, like when F1 changed from the V8s to the V6 turbo hybrids.
Yeah, we thought they lost their identity a little bit there.
Yeah, because like you couldn't hear the cars. You could hear the tyres locking up.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, this sucks. What the fuck, you know?
Especially the way those 2014 cars looked. They looked fucking hideous.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them.
The best looking one was the Ferrari with the aardvark nose.
Yeah, I didn't think the Mercedes looked too bad that year.
The worst one had to be the Caterham.
Or the Lotus with its fucking odd nose.
Yeah, but Caterham had the fucking sex device on the end.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, but when you go back and watch the old Formula One races with the V10s,
Yeah.
and you hear that Ferrari, that Formula One howl, whether
Yeah.
it be a BMW or a
That
Ferrari or a
Banshee
Renault,
scream.
yeah, like you still sit there and go,
That's the sound.
That's the sound.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But these V6 turbo hybrids really are starting to come into their own.
Exactly. I mean, it took a while for the concept to, like, grow legs. But now, these are the fastest cars. They're the heaviest cars, but they're the fastest cars we've ever had.
And then,
And, you know, next year, they're probably going to take half a second backwards. But give it 5 years, and these 2022 cars are going to be as fast as they look.
well, you get to 2026 where they're talking about dropping the MGU-H.
Yep, that's just more scope for suppliers and teams to come in.
Yeah.
With,
And
with the cost cap.
And being a fan, I welcome them.
Yeah.
BMW, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, whoever.
Everyone.
Come back here. Come on in. The door is open. We want you. Come on in.
Yep.
Honda, come back.
Yeah.
Come back.
Toyota, come back.
Yeah, BMW, come back.
We want, you know, we want as many manufacturers on the grid as possible. We want close, fair racing.
Yeah.
Formula One's the pinnacle of motorsport, and we want it to continue to be.
And I mean, even if there's a prang, we want a safe prang.
Exactly. We want a safe prang, and we want drivers to have big, scary-looking shunts and then get up and walk away like nothing happened.
Yeah.
So, onwards and upwards to the future.
So, that's the US F1. The next race is the Mexican F1, which I believe is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
It is. See, that's why JB's on the ball.
Yes.
So this was a pretty good race.
It was a pretty good race. I mean, it was a strategic battle. It was good. I mean, I know we've plunged down some random rabbit holes and rambled a little bit, but this was a genuinely good race, and I think Mexico is going to throw up another genuinely good race.
Yeah, I just wish it'd be at a normal time for us humans here in Australia.
Yeah, it's not going to be. It's going to be at like 3 in the morning. It's going to be crap.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what? Keen for it anyway.
Yeah, it
And
should
we'll
be a
be
good race.
right back here recapping it all for you.
In 2 weeks.
Correct.
So on behalf of myself and my broadcast colleague JB, we thank you for tuning in. subscribe, ring the bell, sacrifice your firstborn, chuck us money. I personally would like a carton of Little Dragon, if you want to help us out with that, because that's quite a nice little drop. JB would like a carton of Great Northern. But just support the channel, support the
Spread
podcast.
the word. Spread the word. I mean, we're just two dudes that just ramble shit for an hour once every 2 weeks
Yeah,
about a sport we love. This is
Yeah.
nothing more than a
yeah,
passion project for us.
yeah. Well,
We don't
yeah.
even care like how many listeners we're not in it for fame. We just used to stand in the front yard and have these conversations, and now we sit in front of a microphone and have these conversations.
Yeah. and
You,
then-
you people listen to it and you give us feedback, and you know, there's not many of you, but you know, it is enough to keep us motivated
yeah,
and driving forward. And you know, part of this is the product that Liberty Media is giving us at the moment.
yeah,
It's an exhilarating product to talk about.
yeah.
So we hope you continue to stay with us for the final 5 races of the season, because this shit's going to get fucking good.
So, on behalf of myself and my broadcast colleague JB, thank you for tuning in this week. We will see you in 2 weeks for the Mexican F1. Until then, goodbye.